Tiamat drifted upon the abyss, her eyes blazing with primordial fire. Beside her, Ishtar hovered, and from her sorrow a single tear crystallized before vanishing into the void. Enlil beheld them in silence, thunder unspoken, yet raging within his breast.
He thinks this is over, but gods do not forget.
And love never truly dies. It only transforms.
Let him enjoy peace. It will not last.
Marduk stood upon the heights, his gaze cast over the scattered stars, while fire coiled in hushed majesty around his arm. The war had ended, yet the cosmos knew no rest. And when the flame rose anew, he was prepared to meet it. In the darkness between worlds, where time lay hollow and the stars had gone to die, the fallen gods drifted. They had been banished, they had been betrayed, they had been forgotten, yet they were not ended.
We cannot drift like phantoms. We are gods. We were gods.
And now we are exiles. What realm will take us in?
No realm will. We take one.
Where?
The underworld. Nergal rules it. But he bleeds like the rest.
The god of death? You at war with the end itself?
He has what we need. Power, a throne, a beginning.
Then we strike. The storm within me has waited long enough.
Then let us fall with purpose.
Into the shadows they had sunk, not as lost souls, but as conquerors cast into exile. They had descended into the underworld, a realm of black stone and wandering shades. Whispers pursued them, and the walls themselves had pulsed with runes of death. Tiamat had slithered before them, her blazing eyes ever searching. Ishtar had glided like a blade wrought in human form. Enlil had watched the dark, the curl of wind gathering at his fingertips. Nergal's palace had risen as an obsidian fortress crowned with the skulls of the damned, its gates throbbing with the glow of ancient runes.
This is the heart. Once these gates fall, so will the god behind them.
Then we carve open destiny.
No more drifting. No more waiting.
Enlil had loosed a gale, and lightning had danced in furious madness. Ishtar's blade had blazed with searing fire, while Tiamat had roared and summoned the tides of chaos. Their powers converged, and the gates groaned, bent, and screamed, until at last they shattered. And into the house of death they had stormed, not as mere invaders, but as rightful heirs. The corridors had crumbled beneath their footsteps, the statues had split and cracked, and the spirits had wailed in dread.
Nergal will fall, and from his ruin, our kingdom will rise.
Not just to survive, to rule.
Let the gods remember who we were.
They had vanished into the shadowed halls ahead. 3 gods had fallen, and 3 gods had risen. From that hour, the underworld was never the same. Beneath the skin of the world, where time had stood still and silence had weighed like stone, there lay the kingdom of death, Nergal's dread domain. Yet silence endured not forever. With a thunderous crack, the gates had burst inward, and the underworld lay broken. From his throne, Nergal had risen, tall, shrouded in shadow, and his scythe burned with black fire.
Tiamat, I should have known you'd crawl back from the void. But this kingdom is mine, and I do not bow.
From the abyss, there had arisen 3 dread warriors. Ashur, brutal and cold as iron, Kali, her hands enwreathed in fire, and Ares, blood-soaked and smiling. And they had stood at Nergal's side. Tiamat had burst into the chamber, vast and serpentine, radiant with the fury of chaos, her form blazing with primordial power.
You rule a prison of ghosts. I bring rebirth in flame and storm. Stand aside or be unmade.
Then come. Let's see if chaos can bleed.
Then the battle was joined. The chamber was remade into a battlefield, its pillars trembling with the clash of divinity. Lightning split the darkness, fire devoured the air, and blood anointed the stones. Gods collided in fury. Ishtar against Kali, a graceful yet wrathful ballet of blades and flame. Enlil against Ashur, storm's tempest locked against iron's might, and Ares against Tiamat. Raw war contending with chaos incarnate.
You burn bright, sister of ruin. But I am the flame that creates and destroys.
Then die in your own light.
The underworld, once hushed in eternal stillness, groaned beneath the fury of divine rage. The silence of death had yielded to the screams of war. Shadows flickered like dying stars, and the voices of lost souls whispered through the gloom. The walls themselves bled with smoke, as though the realm wept fire. At the center, apart from gods and warriors alike, Nergal and Tiamat clashed in solitude, scythe against scale, death against chaos.
You don't belong here.
No! But I will reign here. When death dies, what remains but me?
Enlil shattered Ashur's spear in a blinding stroke of lightning, the heavens roaring with his wrath. Ishtar, radiant and relentless, drove Kali to her knees, her blade poised at the Fire Maiden's throat. Ares, bloodied and unbowed, was nonetheless forced back beneath the gathering tempest of Enlil's rising storm.
If it's all you've got, Storm Boy!
This is only the eye of it!
Back to Nergal and Tiamat. The Lord of Death grew weary, his strength waning beneath the weight of eternity, while Tiamat's endless coils tightened around him like the crushing grip of the abyss.
You won't take it, not this!
Then die clinging to your shadows.
Nergal carved upward with his scythe, and Tiamat's scream thundered through the chamber, shaking its very foundations like the roar of a dying cosmos. Ishtar lifted her blade high, and the heavens themselves seemed to tremble, as though the final blow were destined to seal the fate of gods and mortals alike.
Rest now, destroyer.
Kali's eyes blazed with unholy fire, and her scream tore through the chamber like the cry of a dying world. Her form erupted in flames, a living inferno of wrath. Ishtar leapt back as the battlefield was consumed in a flood of fire. A war among the gods was never won, it was only endured. And when the last flames faded, nothing that remained was ever as it had been. Smoke rose and silence reclaimed the air. The battlefield lay shattered and scorched, a wasteland of ruin. The gods, wounded and weary, stood amidst the desolation. The underworld breathed still, but only by a fragile whisper.
This is my realm, and even death refuses to die.
Above the underworld, the heavens churned with storms of violet fire. Obsidian pillars cracked and crumbled, and from the blackened walls rose a chorus of screams unending. The last battle raged, terrible and absolute. For eons the gods had warred, but this was the final stand. Ashur fell first. Through the veil of smoke burst a golden light, as Ashur, the god of war, hurled himself upon Enlil. The vault of heaven split as lightning thundered across eternity.
You were the storm, brother. Now you are just thunder without fury.
Enlil's eyes burned with the gray fury of the storm. He lifted his fist, and the breath of the divine gathered at his command. With a roar, he drove it into the chest of Ashur. The war god's body snapped backward, his breast shattered inward, and the radiance fled from his eyes. Thus fell Ashur beneath the tempest of Enlil.
Rest now, King of Silence!
Ashur's form collapsed, and the vessel of the war god crumbled to dust. His strength, once eternal, scattered upon the winds of the underworld. Tiamat, Ishtar, and Enlil stood as one. Before them loomed the broken trinity, Nergal, Ares, and Kali. Around them stretched scorched earth, rivers of flame, and the shattered relics of 1,000 wars. Three gods yet faced their doom, bloodied but unyielding. Their fall had been certain, yet it bore no shame.
I gave death its voice. Now it falls silent.
We fought, not for power, for purpose.
And what purpose survives a war already lost?
The three gods cast upon one another a solemn gaze, their silence heavy with fate. And then, as if swallowed by the abyss itself, they vanished into the shadows.
The realm is ours. Let it kneel.
This kingdom will be the bedrock of revolution.
Marduk will hear of this and tremble.
And thus the underworld fell, not into death, but into a rebirth wrought of shadow and flame. Tiamat reigned upon a throne wrought from the bones of fallen gods. Enlil cast his gaze across the restless winds. Ishtar prowled the halls like a lioness aflame with desire.
This is only the beginning.
We burn this realm, or it devours us whole.
Let Marduk come. He'll find more than ruin. He'll find wrath.
They did not await the judgment of Marduk. Instead, they forged their weapons from the screams of the dead, and the echoes of sorrow became their steel. She communed with chaos, while the tentacles of shadow spiraled about her in unholy majesty.
Awaken, forgotten child! See on me!
A primordial entity stirred, a chaos-born beast of fire and void, yet it was bound in chains to her indomitable will. The dust arose as Ishtar beheld the blade, sleek and black, humming with a wild and unstable power.
This isn't a weapon. It's a question. And the answer is extinction.
Enlil summoned the living storms, and thunder spirits swirled about him like vultures in the wake of battle.
See everything, hear everything. Let no god breathe without my knowing.
They carved from death a fortress, raised a sanctuary of chaos, and upon its summit they set a throne of vengeance. The three gods stood over a map woven of shifting smoke, where destinies twisted like serpents in the dark.
This will be the mouth of the new cosmos. We will speak its first scream.
And we will break his army before he forms it.
Let the living fear the dead.
The underworld was no longer a tomb. It had become a weapon, sharpened by shadows and fed with the silence of the dead.
When the cosmos sleeps, we rise.
When the stars blink, we strike.
And when Marduk returns, he dies.